Who authorized a Barbie to step on this base? The words land like a slap across the medical station's morning briefing. Lieutenant Carter Briggs stands in the doorway, arms crossed, his smile sharp enough to cut. Behind him, 12 personnel freeze mid-conversation. Someone stifles a laugh. Another doesn't bother hiding it. The target of his contempt doesn't flinch. Astra Valen, 29 years old, barely 5'3", continues arranging medical supplies on the counter with hands that move like clockwork. Gauze rolls, tourniquet packages. Hemostatic agents lined up with military precision, though no one here seems to notice that detail yet. Briggs steps further inside, boots heavy on the tile. His voice rises, playing to his audience now. This is not a maternity ward. Did someone mix up the paperwork? Laughter erupts. A nurse near the water cooler covers her mouth. Two corpsmen exchange looks that say they've seen this before, Briggs breaking in the new hire. It's tradition at this point. The lieutenant always finds someone to remind who runs this station. Astra sets down a bottle of saline. Her movements remain steady. No tremor, no rush. She turns toward him with a smile so soft it barely registers, the kind people give when they've learned that silence is safer than speech. "Good morning, Lieutenant." Her voice is quiet, almost swallowed by the fluorescent hum overhead. Briggs snorts. "Good morning?" He mimics her tone, pitching it higher, more delicate. "Did you bring cookies too? Maybe some flowers for the waiting room?" More laughter. Louder this time. Someone mutters savage under their breath, and Briggs feeds on it, puffing his chest slightly. This is his kingdom. These are his people. But then something odd happens. As Astra reaches for the next supply crate, her hands grip the edges with a specific hold, thumbs pressed flat, fingers spread wide for maximum control. It's the kind of grip you use when you're carrying gear under fire, when dropping something means someone dies. She lifts the crate without effort, sets it down without sound. Near the back of the room, Senior Chief Petty Officer Davis, 54 years old and 30 years in service, stops pouring his coffee. His eyes narrow. He's seen that grip before, not in hospitals, in field stations, in places where the medical corps doesn't have the luxury of being gentle. Briggs doesn't notice. He's already moving on, addressing the room at large. "Everyone, meet our new addition. Try not to overwhelm her with anything too complicated. Wouldn't want her breaking a nail." The door slams behind him as he leaves. The sound echoes. The laughter fades quickly after, replaced by the awkward shuffle of people returning to their tasks. A few glance at Astra, some with pity, others with relief. It wasn't them. Astra doesn't acknowledge any of it. She continues her work, pulling inventory sheets from a folder. Her chest rises and falls in a pattern so subtle it's almost invisible. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. Combat breathing. The kind taught to people who need to stay calm when chaos is trying to kill them. Davis sets his coffee down slowly. He walks closer, pretending to check the supply log on the wall beside her station. His voice drops low enough that only she can hear. "You prior service?" Astra's pen doesn't stop moving across the checklist. "Just here to work, Chief." "That's not what I asked." She looks up then, meeting his eyes for exactly 2 seconds. No more. No less. "Respectfully, Chief, my file should answer any questions." Davis grunts. There's something in the way she holds herself, spine straight but not stiff, shoulders relaxed but ready. It's the posture of someone who's learned to stay alert without looking paranoid. He's seen it in operators. People who've been in places where letting your guard down gets you killed. He doesn't push further, not yet, but he doesn't walk away either. He stands there, watching as she organizes trauma shears, bandages, IV kits. Her fingers move with efficiency that doesn't match a new nurse. She knows exactly where everything goes without checking labels, knows which supplies are critical versus supplementary, knows the order you'd pack them in if you had to grab and run. Someone drops a tray in the corner. The metal clatters loud. Astra's head snaps toward the sound, her hand moving instinctively toward her hip, toward where a sidearm would be if she were wearing one. She catches herself, disguises it by adjusting her scrubs. But Davis sees it. That's not a startle reflex. That's training. The morning drags forward. Astra handles intake paperwork, files reports, reorganizes the crash cart with hands that have clearly done this before. When a young corpsman asks her to grab restricted supplies from the locked cabinet, she enters the combination on the first try, even though she's supposedly never been in this room before. The corpsman doesn't notice. He's too busy scrolling his phone. Davis notices everything. Lunch comes and goes. Astra eats alone in the break room, a plain sandwich she brought from home. She sits with her back to the wall, facing the door. Another habit. The kind you pick up when you've spent too long in places where threats don't announce themselves. By 1400 hours, the station quiets. Most personnel are at their posts or on rotation. The afternoon sun cuts through the windows at angles that make everything look washed out, overexposed. Astra is restocking exam rooms when Briggs returns. He doesn't knock, just appears in the doorway of the supply room, filling the frame. His smile is gone, replaced by something colder, more calculating. Valen, my office, now. She sets down the box of gloves she's been unpacking. Yes, sir. The walk down the corridor feels longer than it is. Briggs walks ahead, not looking back, confident she'll follow. His office sits at the end of the hall, door half open. He pushes it wide and steps aside, gesturing for her to enter first. Astra hesitates for half a second, long enough to scan the room, note the exits, clock the position of furniture. Then she steps inside. Briggs closes the door. The click of the latch is unnaturally loud. You know what I think? He moves to his desk, leans against it casually. I think someone made a mistake putting you here. This isn't a place for people who need hand-holding. Astra stands near the center of the room, hands at her sides. I'm here to do my job, sir. Your job. He laughs, short and bitter. Let's see about that. He reaches behind him and grabs a large plastic bin filled with medical equipment. Stethoscopes, blood pressure cuffs, reflex hammers, assorted tools. Without warning, he hurls it at her chest. The bin hits her sternum. Contents explode outward, scattering across the floor in a cascade of metal and plastic. A pen light rolls under the desk. A syringe case bounces off her shoe. Pick it up. Briggs folds his arms. I want to see these Barbie nurse skills up close. Astra doesn't respond. She kneels, begins gathering the items one by one. Her movements are methodical. No rush, no protest. She separates sharp instruments from soft supplies, organizing them by type even as she collects them. Briggs circles her slowly, his shadow stretching across the floor. This is what you signed up for, right? Cleaning up messes, doing grunt work while real personnel handle the important stuff? She reaches for a blood pressure cuff near his boot. He doesn't move, forcing her to lean closer. Her hand brushes the floor inches from his shoe. You know what I heard? His voice drops lower. I heard you barely passed your orientation, that you needed extra time on basic procedures. Is that true? Astra places the cuff in the bin, reaches for the next item, says nothing. I'm talking to you. Briggs's tone sharpens. When an officer asks a question, you answer. She stands, the bin now half full in her arms. Blood has risen to her cheeks, but her expression remains neutral. I completed orientation within standard time frame, sir. Standard, he scoffs. That's the problem with this military now. Standards get lowered so everyone can feel included, even people who don't belong. He picks up the clipboard from his desk. Thick stack of papers clipped to it. Personnel evaluations, duty rosters. He holds it up, pretending to read. Astra Valen. No prior assignments listed. No deployment history, no commendations, just showed up one day. Astra's grip on the bin tightens slightly, the only tell. Briggs steps closer. Makes me wonder what strings got pulled to get you here, who you know, what you promised. Then he swings the clipboard. The edge catches her across the cheekbone. The impact snaps her head to the side. The bin drops from her hands, content spilling again. She staggers back one step, her hand flying to her face. Blood wells up from a split in her lip where it caught against her teeth. Warm, copper-tasting. It drips down her chin, stains her collar. Briggs doesn't move, doesn't apologize. He just watches, clipboard still raised slightly, waiting to see what she'll do. Astra steadies herself. Her breathing hasn't changed, still that same 4-count rhythm. In, hold, out, hold. She lowers her hand from her face. Blood smears across her fingers. She looks at it for a moment, then at him. Her eyes hold no fear, no tears, no plea for mercy. That bothers him more than if she'd screamed. Look at me. His voice turns harsh, almost desperate to provoke a reaction. Look at me when I humiliate you. Astra wipes her mouth with the back of her hand. turns her gaze to the floor, not in submission, in choice. She's choosing not to give him what he wants. The silence stretches. Briggs's jaw works. He wants her to cry, to beg, to quit. Anything that confirms his worldview. But she just stands there, bleeding quietly, waiting. Get out. He throws the clipboard onto his desk. Clean yourself up. And if I hear you complaining to anyone about this, I'll make sure you're scrubbing bedpans until you quit. Astra bends down, begins picking up the supplies again. This time he doesn't stop her. She refills the bin, stands, and walks to the door. Her steps are steady despite the blood still dripping from her chin. She pauses at the threshold, doesn't look back, just says quietly, "Yes, sir." Then she's gone. Briggs stares at the empty doorway for a long moment. Something about her unnerves him, the way she absorbed the hit without breaking, the way she didn't flinch when he raised the clipboard again. It's not normal. Normal people crack. Normal people show weakness. He shakes his head, tries to dismiss the feeling. She's nobody, a paper pusher who got lucky with an assignment. By the end of the week, she'll transfer out or quit outright. He's sure of it. In the bathroom, Astra locks the stall door and presses gauze to her lip. The bleeding stops after 2 minutes. She cleans the wound with antiseptic from her personal kit, applies a butterfly closure with the precision of someone who's done field medicine under worse conditions. The mirror shows a small mark, nothing severe, nothing that will scar. She splashes water on her face, dries it, adjusts her uniform. When she returns to the station, Davis is waiting near her desk. He takes one look at her face and his expression darkens. What happened? Slipped in the supply room. Astra sits down, pulls up the inventory system on the computer. Caught the shelf on the way down. Davis doesn't believe her. He opens his mouth to push back, but she's already typing, her focus absolute. The conversation is over before it begins. He walks away frustrated, but not surprised. He's seen this before too. People who won't report abuse because they've learned the system doesn't protect them, or because they're protecting something else. If you've ever been underestimated at work, hit that like button, because what happens next will shock you. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where the quiet ones always win. The afternoon shift continues. Astra completes her tasks without complaint, files reports, assists with patient intake, reorganizes the pharmacy inventory according to updated protocols. Every action performed with competence that contradicts Briggs' assessment of her. Evening arrives. Most personnel head to the mess hall for dinner. Astra remains behind, volunteering to handle the medical supply audit due at the end of the week. It's grunt work nobody wants. Perfect cover. She pulls up the digital logs on her terminal. Lines of data scroll past. Medication names, quantities dispensed, dates of requisition. At first glance, everything looks correct. Standard usage patterns for a facility this size. But Astra doesn't glance. She reads, line by line, cross-referencing shipment manifests against dispensary records, and slowly, a pattern emerges. Oxycodone orders increasing by 15% over 6 months, fentanyl patches requisitioned in quantities that don't match patient logs, hydromorphone disappearing from inventory faster than surgical procedures can account for. Someone is skimming controlled substances, not enough to trigger automatic flags, just enough to stay under the radar if you're not looking carefully. Astra pulls out her phone, angles it to avoid the security camera's field of view, snaps photos of the discrepancies, date stamps, lot numbers, authorization signatures. One name appears more than others on the approval forms, LTC, Briggs. She closes the files, clears her search history, stands and stretches as if she's simply tired from a long shift. To anyone watching the cameras, she's just another diligent employee staying late. But now she knows what Briggs is really protecting, why he's so aggressive toward anyone new. Why he can't afford to have someone competent looking too closely at the supply chain. He's running a black market operation, probably selling to dealers off base, using his position to siphon medications that desperate people will pay premium prices for. It's not just corruption. It's betrayal of everyone who trusts the military medical system to keep them safe. Astra saves her work, logs out, and heads to the exit. The night air hits her face, cool and clean. She walks across the base toward temporary housing, taking the long route past the administrative buildings. A figure steps out from behind a supply truck. Astra's hand moves toward her hip again, that same instinctive reach. But it's just Davis, smoking a cigarette in violation of base policy. "You're working late." He exhales smoke into the darkness. Catching up. Astra slows but doesn't stop walking. Davis falls into step beside her. I've been doing this job for 30 years. You know what I've learned? People who move like you don't just slip in supply rooms. Astra says nothing. I'm not trying to jam you up, Davis continues. But if something's happening, if someone's giving you trouble, there are channels, ways to report without it coming back on you. I appreciate that, Chief. But you're not going to use them. I'm handling it. Davis stops walking. Astra takes 3 more steps before she realizes he's not following. She turns back. He's looking at her with something between concern and recognition. I saw how you handled that needle decompression kit today, he says quietly. You checked it like someone who's used it. Not on a training dummy, on a person. The space between them fills with unspoken understanding. Astra could deny it, deflect. But something about Davis, the lines around his eyes, the weight in his voice, tells her he's asking because he cares, not because he's gathering intelligence. I've had training, she says finally. More than what's on my file. How much more? Enough. Davis nods slowly. He doesn't push, doesn't demand explanations, just takes one last drag of his cigarette and crushes it under his boot. If you need backup, I'm around. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Chief. He walks away into the darkness. Astra watches him go, then continues to her quarters. Inside, she locks the door, pulls the curtains, and sits on the edge of the bunk. She takes out her phone and opens an encrypted messaging app, types a short message. Supply chain compromised. Primary target confirmed. Proceeding to phase 2. The message sends, deletes itself 10 seconds later. Astra lies back on the bunk, staring at the ceiling. Her lip throbs where it split. Her cheekbone aches. But the pain is familiar, almost comforting in its consistency. Pain means you're still alive, still in the fight. She thinks about Briggs, about the way he swung that clipboard without hesitation, the way he called her Barbie like it was her name, the way the entire room laughed because he gave them permission to. He has no idea who he's dealing with. None of them do. That's the point. The next morning starts the same. Astra arrives early, makes coffee in the break room, sets up her station. Briggs walks in at 0800 hours sharp, sees her, and immediately his mood sours. Valen, conference room, now. She follows him again. This time he doesn't bother closing the door all the way, just leaves it cracked open, close enough for privacy, open enough that he can claim plausible deniability if anyone questions what happens inside. I need you to inventory the trauma supplies, he says, handing her a printed list. Full count, every item, due by 1600 hours. Astra scans the list. It's 4 times the normal workload, designed to be impossible to complete in one shift. A setup. Yes, sir. And Valen? Briggs leans back in his chair, that sharp smile returning. If your count doesn't match mine, we're going to have a problem. A big one. She understands the threat. He's already doctored the numbers. When her accurate count doesn't match his fraudulent one, he'll accuse her of theft or incompetence. Either way, it's grounds for immediate dismissal. Probably a formal investigation that will bury her. I'll be thorough, sir. You do that. Astra spends the next 6 hours in the storage room, counting every bandage, every IV bag, every vial of medication. She photographs everything with timestamps, documents serial numbers, creates a secondary record on her phone that she'll encrypt and upload later. At 15:30 hours, she's halfway through when Briggs appears in the doorway. Time's almost up. He checks his watch theatrically. How's it going? I'll have it done, sir. Really? He steps inside, closing the door behind him. The room suddenly feels much smaller. Because I'm looking at this space, and I'm thinking there's no way you counted everything. Not properly. Astra continues working, clipboard in hand. I'm being thorough, sir, like you asked. Briggs moves closer, close enough that she can smell coffee on his breath. You know what I think? I think you're stalling. I think you found something you shouldn't have, and now you're trying to figure out how to cover it up. No, sir. Don't lie to me. His voice drops to a growl. I know when people are lying. You want to know how? She doesn't answer, just keeps her eyes on the inventory list. They get this look. He reaches out suddenly, grabs her clipboard and throws it across the room. It clatters against the wall. This nervous, twitchy look, like they're prey. Astra's hands hang at her sides now, empty, vulnerable. She meets his eyes for the first time since entering the room. I'm not prey, sir. Something in the way she says it makes Briggs pause. There's no defiance in her tone, no challenge, just a simple statement of fact, delivered with the kind of certainty that comes from experience. But then his ego kicks back in. He's the predator here. He's the one with rank, with power, with the ability to destroy her career with a single phone call. She's nothing. You're whatever I say you are. He jabs a finger toward her chest. And right now, I say you're a liar and a thief. I say you've been stealing medications to sell off base. And when I report that, do you think anyone's going to take your word over mine? Astra's breathing remains steady. 4 counts. 4 counts. 4 counts. 4 counts. I haven't stolen anything, sir. Prove it. The inventory will prove it. Briggs laughs. It's an ugly sound. The inventory will prove exactly what I need it to prove. Because I control the records. I control the counts. I control everything in this station. And you? He steps even closer, invading her space completely. You control nothing. The door opens. Davis stands in the threshold, taking in the scene. Briggs looming over Astra, the thrown clipboard, the tension thick enough to choke on. Lieutenant, you have a call. Line 2. They said it's urgent. Briggs' jaw clenches. He steps back, straightens his uniform. We're not done here, Valen. Finish that count. I'll be back to review it personally. He brushes past Davis, gone in seconds. The room exhales. Davis doesn't say anything, just picks up the clipboard, hands it to Astra, and leaves. But the message is clear. I saw that. I know what's happening. Astra finishes the inventory by 15:55 hours. Her count is accurate down to the last alcohol swab. When Briggs returns at 1600 sharp, she hands him the completed report. He scans it, his face reddening as he realizes everything matches. No discrepancies, no errors, nothing he can use against her. You'll stay late tonight, he says instead. Reorganize the storage room. Alphabetical order. Yes, sir. And Valen, if I find even one item out of place tomorrow, you're done. Understand? Yes, sir. He walks away, frustrated but not defeated. He'll find another angle, another way to break her. It's only a matter of time. 1900 hours. The station is nearly empty. Most personnel have left for the day. Astra works alone in the storage room, moving boxes, relabeling shelves. The work is mindless, good for thinking. She's piecing together the scope of Briggs's operation, the medications he's skimming, the frequencies, the probable buyers. It's bigger than she initially thought. He's not working alone. There's at least one accomplice, probably in supply chain. Maybe more. That's when she hears the door lock click behind her. Astra turns slowly. Briggs stands there, key in hand, blocking the exit. His eyes have a wild edge now. Cornered animal energy. Dangerous. You've been asking questions. His voice is tight, controlled. Poking around files, taking pictures of logs. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Astra sets down the box she's holding, gives herself room to move. I was completing the audit you assigned, sir. Stop lying. He closes the distance between them in 3 strides. You're spying on me. Someone sent you. NCIS? JAG? Who? No one sent me, sir. Then why? He grabs her shoulders, shoves her back against the metal shelving. The impact rattles supplies. Why are you here? What do you want? Astra's mind calculates angles, exits, vulnerabilities. But she stays still, doesn't resist. Not yet. I'm here to do my job. Briggs pulls her forward, then slams her back again. Harder this time. Her head bounces off a support beam. Vision swims. You're here to destroy me. To take everything I've built. Admit it. I'm here. She swallows. Tastes blood from where she bit her tongue. To do my job, sir. He hits her. Open palm across the face. The sound echoes in the small room. Her head snaps to the side. Warmth blooms across her cheek. Wrong answer. He pulls back his fist. The punch lands in her stomach. Air evacuates her lungs in a rush. She doubles over, gasping, trying to breathe through the pain. Her knees buckle. Briggs catches her by the hair, jerks her upright. You want to know what happens to people who cross me? They disappear. They transfer. They quit. One way or another, they're gone. He slaps her again. Then again. Each impact snaps her head back. Blood from her earlier split lip reopens, flows fresh down her chin. But Astra doesn't scream, doesn't beg. She locks eyes with him and says, voice barely a whisper, "You just made your first mistake." The words are so cold, so detached from the violence happening, that Briggs actually freezes. His hand hovers mid-swing. Something about her tone, like she's not the one in danger here like he is, sends a chill down his spine. "What did you say?" Astra spits blood onto the floor, straightens as much as she can while he still has grip on her collar. "I said you made a mistake, Lieutenant. A big one." Briggs shoves her away. She stumbles, catches herself on the shelf. He's breathing hard now, adrenaline and confusion mixing. "You're insane. You're actually insane." "Maybe." Astra wipes her mouth. Blood smears across the back of her hand. "Or maybe you just don't know who you're dealing with." "I know exactly who you are. You're nobody. A glorified receptionist playing dress-up in medical scrubs. And after tonight, you're gone." He pulls out his phone, starts typing. "I'm calling security, filing an official complaint. Assault on a superior officer, theft, insubordination. Take your pick." "By morning, you'll be in custody." Astra says nothing, just watches him with those disturbingly calm eyes. Briggs finishes typing, hits send. Then he notices something. The way she's standing, weight balanced, knees slightly bent, hands loose at her sides. It's not the posture of a victim, it's the posture of someone waiting, ready. "What are you doing?" he asks, suddenly uncertain. "Breathing," she demonstrates. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. "You should try it. Helps with stress." "You're mocking me." His anger reignites. "After everything, you're still—" His phone buzzes. A response from security. Probably confirming they're on the way. He glances at the screen. His face goes pale. The message doesn't say what he expected. Instead, it's a notification from the base personnel system. An automatic alert triggered by unusual access to classified files. Personnel record access detected. Subject, Valen, Astra M, clearance level, restricted, unauthorized viewing logged. JSOC notification protocol initiated. Briggs stares at the screen, reads it again, then a third time. "What is this?" Astra tilts her head slightly. "What does it say?" "It says your file is classified, that I triggered some kind of alert by trying to access it." He looks up at her. "That's not possible. You're medical staff. Your clearance is basic. This has to be an error." "Does it?" He fumbles with his phone, trying to open her personnel record properly. Maybe he clicked wrong, maybe the system glitched. But the screen just shows a login prompt, then kicks him out entirely. Access denied. Security flag raised. "What did you do?" he whispers. "I didn't do anything, Lieutenant. You did. You assaulted me. You tried to access my file, and now—" She glances at the security camera in the corner, the one she made sure stayed functional despite his attempts to disable it earlier. There's a record. Briggs follows her gaze to the camera. The little red light blinks steadily. Recording. Always recording. His face drains of remaining color. "You set me up." The accusation is weak. He knows it even as he says it. "I did my job," Astra corrects. "You're the one who made choices. Bad ones." His phone buzzes again. This time it's not security, it's a number he doesn't recognize. He almost doesn't answer, but something makes him. Maybe desperation. Maybe hope that it's a way out. "Lieutenant Briggs?" The voice on the other end is crisp, professional, terrifying in its neutrality. "This is Special Agent Rollins, NCIS. We need you to remain exactly where you are. A team is en route to your location. Do not attempt to leave. Do not destroy any evidence. Do you understand?" Briggs's hand shakes. "There's been a mistake. I can explain." "Do you understand, Lieutenant?" Yes." The call ends. The storage room becomes a tomb. Briggs looks at Astra like he's seeing a ghost. Maybe he is. Maybe she's been dead all along and he just didn't realize it until now. "Who are you?" he asks. Astra doesn't answer, just continues her 4-count breathing. In, hold, out, hold. Footsteps echo in this hallway outside. Multiple sets, heavy boots, the kind that don't belong to base security, the kind that belong to people who investigate war crimes and federal offenses. Do you think she's really just a nurse? Drop your guess in the comments. and watch what happens when he opens that file. Briggs backs toward the door, even though he knows it's locked, even though he knows there's nowhere to go. This isn't over. I have friends, connections. I'll fight this. You're welcome to try. Astra's voice is almost gentle now, pitying. But you hit me, Lieutenant. You assaulted me multiple times, and now you've triggered a national security protocol by accessing a restricted file. Even your friends can't fix that. The door handle rattles. Someone outside has a key, or tools to bypass the lock. Briggs makes a last desperate move. He lunges toward Astra, hands reaching for her throat. If he can just silence her, if he can make this go away. Astra moves. It's not a big movement, just a half step to the side, a slight rotation of her torso. Briggs' momentum carries him past her. He crashes into the shelving behind where she was standing. Supplies rain down around him. By the time he recovers, the door is open and 4 NCIS agents flood the room, weapons drawn. Hands where we can see them, now! Briggs raises his hands. He's still trying to process how she dodged him so easily, how someone so small moved so fast, how everything fell apart so quickly. One of the agents, a woman in her 40s with steel gray hair, approaches Astra. "Ma'am, are you injured?" Astra touches her split lip, the bruise forming on her cheek. "Nothing serious, Agent. We'll need photographs, medical documentation." The agent's eyes scan the blood on Astra's face, the way she's holding her ribs. "And we'll need your statement." "Of course." Briggs is pulled to his feet, hands secured behind his back with zip ties. He's still talking, still trying to explain, but no one's listening. They read him his rights in flat, bored tones. They've done this 1,000 times before. As they lead him out, he twists to look at Astra one last time. She's standing exactly where she was, watching him with those 2 calm eyes, still breathing in that measured rhythm, still unbroken. "Who are you?" he asks again, voice cracking. This time she almost smiles. "Someone you should never have touched, Lieutenant." The agents take him away. His voice fades down the hallway, still protesting, still demanding lawyers and rights and justice. None of it matters now. Astra stands alone in the storage room. Blood drips slowly from her chin onto the floor. Supplies lie scattered where Briggs knocked them down. The security camera blinks red, recording everything. Davis appears in the doorway. He takes in the scene, the blood, the mess, the eerie calm on Astra's face. "I called it in," he says quietly. "Heard the yelling, knew something was wrong. Thank you, Chief. That file of yours." He steps closer. "I tried to look at it earlier today. System locked me out, said I didn't have clearance." He pauses. "I've got a top secret clearance. Had it for 20 years. What the hell could require more than that?" Astra picks up a fallen box of gauze, starts reorganizing, even now. "Some things are compartmentalized, Chief. Need to know only. And I don't need to know. Not yet." Davis considers this, then nods. "Fair enough. But when this is over, when whatever you're really doing here is done, I'd like the truth. You'll have it." She looks at him directly. "I promise." He accepts that. Helps her pick up supplies in silence. They work together for 10 minutes, restoring order to chaos, until the NCIS photographer arrives to document the scene. Outside, the base stirs with rumors already spreading. Lieutenant Briggs arrested, NCIS swarming the medical station, something about classified files and assault. Stories grow in the telling, details morphing and multiplying like viruses. But Astra Valen remains quiet, gives her statement in measured words, submits to medical examination and photography, answers questions without elaborating, provides facts without context. And all the while, somewhere off base, in a secure facility with no windows and no identifying markers, Commander Ryden Valor receives a notification on his encrypted terminal. Asset compromised, cover blown, extraction protocol standby. He reads it twice, curses once, then starts making calls. The base continues its evening rhythm. Lights dim in non-essential buildings. Personnel rotate shifts. Somewhere in the distance, a training exercise echoes across the tarmac. Everything appears normal. But in the medical station's administrative office, Lieutenant Carter Briggs sits before his computer terminal, sweating despite the air conditioning. His hands hover over the keyboard. He's made a decision, a final one. Delete her file. Erase any record of Astra Valen's assignment here. then call in favors. Get her transferred immediately, tonight if possible, before she can cause more damage, before whatever she's planning comes to fruition. The NCIS agents left 2 hours ago, taking their photos and statements. They treated it as routine assault documentation. They don't know about the medications, the missing inventory, the offshore accounts Briggs has been funneling money into for the past 18 months. He can still fix this. He just needs her gone. Briggs pulls up the personnel database, types in his credentials, navigates to Valen's file. His cursor hovers over the delete function. One click. That's all it takes. He clicks. The screen freezes. Then it goes white. Completely white. No error message. No loading icon. Just blank, antiseptic white that burns his eyes. Briggs hits refresh. Nothing. He closes the browser, reopens it. Same result. White screen. He tries logging in again, entering his credentials carefully this time, making sure every character is correct. Access denied. He tries a third time, fourth, fifth. Each attempt locks him out faster than the last. Then the screen flickers. Text appears. Not a normal system message. This is different. Red letters, bold, urgent. Night Ward survivor. Classified ghost, Valen, Astra M. Unauthorized access detected. JSOC notification protocol initiated. Do not attempt further access. Federal investigation underway. Briggs leans back from the screen like it might bite him. Nightward. He knows that name. Everyone in naval intelligence knows that name. It's whispered in corridors, referenced in classified briefings that most personnel will never attend. Nightward Unit was a joint special operations medical team. They deployed to the worst places on Earth. Raven Pit was their final mission, an extraction gone catastrophically wrong, ambushed, surrounded. According to official reports, the entire unit was killed. No survivors. The mission details remain sealed at the highest classification levels. But the screen in front of him says otherwise, says Astra Valen is a Nightward survivor, says she's classified, says she's protected by protocols that supersede everything Briggs has authority to touch. His phone rings. He jumps, nearly knocking it off the desk. Unknown number. He stares at it for 3 rings before answering. Briggs! His voice comes out hoarse. Lieutenant, this is Commander Ryden Valor, Naval Special Warfare Command. The voice is calm, professional, and absolutely devoid of warmth. I understand you've been having issues with the personnel file. Briggs' throat constricts. Sir, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But right now, I need you to listen very carefully. Do not touch that computer again. Do not approach Petty Officer Valen. Do not speak to anyone about what you just saw. Am I clear? Petty Officer? Briggs' mind reels. She's listed as civilian medical staff. Her file says exactly what it needs to say, Lieutenant. That's all you need to know. But sir, there have been incidents. She's been documenting your illegal activities? Valor's tone sharpens. Yes, Lieutenant. We're aware. That was her job, and you made it remarkably easy. The words hit like physical blows. Briggs stands, paces to the window, looks out at the base that suddenly feels like a prison. This is entrapment. You can't. We can. And we did. A federal investigation into medical supply chain corruption doesn't announce itself, Lieutenant. It embeds. It watches. It waits for people like you to reveal themselves. Briggs' legs weaken. He leans against the window frame. What happens now? Now you stay exactly where you are. A team is en route. They'll have questions. I suggest you answer them honestly. It might be the only thing that helps you at this point. The call ends. Briggs stands frozen, phone still pressed to his ear, listening to dead air. His entire world just collapsed. Career, reputation, freedom, all gone in the span of a 3-minute phone call. But then rage ignites. Pure, desperate rage. This is her fault. That quiet little nurse who seemed so harmless, so weak. She did this. She came here specifically to destroy him, and he fell for it. Let her get close. Let her see everything. He won't let her win. Not like this. Briggs leaves his office, moving fast through empty corridors. Most personnel are at dinner or off duty. The medical station is nearly deserted. He knows where she'll be. She's always in that storage room, always organizing, always watching. He finds her exactly where he expects. Astra stands at the far end of the storage room, running inventory on her tablet. She doesn't look up when he enters, doesn't acknowledge his presence at all. You, the word comes out strangled. You've been lying this entire time. Astra sets down the tablet. turns to face him with that same infuriating calm. "I've been doing my job, Lieutenant." "Your job?" He laughs, bitter and broken. "Your job was to spy on me, to set me up, to ruin my life. My job was to investigate supply chain corruption. You ruined your own life by stealing medications meant for people in pain, by selling them for profit, by abusing your position." Briggs crosses the distance between them in quick strides. "You have no proof, no evidence that will hold up. It's your word against mine, and I have rank. I have connections. I have photographs," Astra interrupts quietly. "Time-stamped documentation of inventory discrepancies, voice recordings of you threatening personnel who asked questions, bank records showing deposits that match exactly with missing medication values, digital footprints linking you to known distributors." Each item on the list hits him like a hammer. She's been thorough, more than thorough. She's been surgical. You can't have all that. But even as he says it, he knows she does. The storage room, the late nights, the volunteer work nobody wanted. She used every minute to gather evidence. "I do have it, Lieutenant, and so does NCIS, and JSOC, and probably JAG by morning." Astra's voice remains level. "This ended the moment you first decided to skim supplies. Everything after was just documentation." Something snaps inside Briggs. All the rage, all the fear, all the humiliation coalesces into a single impulse. If he's going down, she's coming with him. He grabs her arm, yanks her toward the door. "We're going somewhere private, somewhere without cameras, and we're going to settle this." Astra doesn't fight, doesn't scream. She lets him drag her through the back corridors, past the maintenance areas, toward the old laboratory wing. These buildings haven't been used in years, scheduled for demolition. No cameras, no witnesses, just empty rooms and echoing hallways. Briggs kicks open a door to what used to be a research lab. Broken equipment lines the walls, dust coats every surface. A single window looks out over the darkened base. He shoves Astra inside, slams the door closed. "Let's see how tough you are without your backup." He moves toward her, fists clenched. "Without your cameras and your evidence and your protection." Astra backs up until she hits the wall. Her hand moves to her side, checking for something that isn't there. Old habit from carrying a sidearm. She's unarmed, alone, exactly where he wants her. "Lieutenant, you need to stop." Her voice stays steady, but there's an edge now, a warning. "You're making this worse for yourself." "Worse?" He laughs again, wild. "How can it be worse? You've already destroyed everything. My career, my reputation, my future. There's nothing left for me to lose." "There's always something left to lose." Briggs pulls her from the wall, slams her against it. Her head impacts with a dull thud. "You're right. I could lose the satisfaction of watching you suffer. Let's not lose that." He hits her, a punch to the ribs that steals her breath. She doubles over, gasping. He doesn't stop, grabs her by the hair, jerks her upright, hits her again, face, stomach, ribs, each impact released from months of frustration and fear. Blood flows from Astra's nose. Her lip splits again. Bruises bloom instantly across her cheek, but she doesn't scream. Doesn't beg for mercy, just takes the beating with that same disturbing quiet, like she's endured worse and survived. "Say something," Briggs screams in her face. "Fight back, cry, do something." Astra spits blood onto the floor, looks him directly in the eye. "Don't shake like that, Lieutenant." Her voice is barely a whisper, but cuts through his rage like a blade. "Your hand is trembling when you hit me." The observation is so calm, so clinical that it freezes him mid-swing. She's right. His hand is shaking. Not from exertion, from fear. Deep, primal fear of what he's become and what's about to happen. "You're scared," Astra continues, each word deliberate. "You know this is over. You know they're coming. And you know that hurting me won't change any of that." Briggs steps back, breathing hard. She's right. She's always right. That's what makes her so dangerous. He looks around the room, searching for something, anything that will give him control again. His eyes land on a metal chair in the corner, heavy, solid, enough to do real damage. He crosses the room, picks it up, turns back to face her. "You're going to disappear tonight. An accident. You were working late, investigating the old labs without authorization. Something fell. You got hurt. By the time anyone finds you, it'll be too late." Astra straightens against the wall. Blood drips from her chin, but her eyes remain clear. That won't work. Why not? Because they already know where I am. They've known this entire time. Briggs pauses. You're lying. Am I? The question hangs in the air. Briggs' grip on the chair tightens, loosens. He wants to believe she's bluffing, but everything about her, the confidence, the calm, the complete lack of fear, suggests otherwise. He lifts the chair anyway. If she's telling the truth, it doesn't matter. He's already past the point of no return. Might as well finish it. The chair raises above his head. Astra doesn't flinch, just continues watching him with those steady eyes, still breathing in that measured four-count rhythm. Then he hears it. They both hear it. A sound like distant thunder, growing louder, closer. Not thunder. Rotors. Helicopter rotors. Coming fast and low. Briggs turns toward the window. Astra stays against the wall, a small smile touching her bloodied lips. The sound crescendos, becomes deafening. Through the window, lights appear. Bright, harsh, military-grade spotlights that turn night into day. A black MH-60R SEAL helicopter descends onto the base courtyard less than 50 yards away. Its arrival is not subtle. It's a statement. The base erupts into activity. Alarms sound. Personnel pour from buildings. Security vehicles converge on the landing zone. But the helicopter is already down, rotors still spinning, and 6 operators in full tactical gear fast rope to the ground with practiced efficiency. Briggs watches, transfixed. The chair slips from his hands, clatters to the floor. What is that? That, Astra says quietly, is my ride. The operators move in formation toward the old lab building. Leading them is a man in his early 40s, tall and lean, with the kind of presence that makes people instinctively move aside. Commander Ryden Valor. His voice carries across the courtyard through a loudspeaker, echoing off buildings. Astra Valen, Night Ward extract mission active. All personnel stand down. The words roll across the base like thunder. Personnel freeze. Officers stop mid-stride. Everyone turns to stare at the lab building, at the SEAL team approaching with weapons ready but not raised, a show of force, not aggression. Inside the lab, Briggs backs away from Astra like she's become radioactive. This can't be happening. This isn't real. It's very real, Lieutenant. Astra pushes off the wall, stands on her own despite the beating. I told you, they've been watching this entire time. Boots hammer up the stairs outside, multiple sets, moving fast. Briggs looks at the door, then at Astra, then back at the door. He's trapped. There's nowhere to run. Nothing left to do but face what's coming. The door doesn't open. It explodes inward. The kick is precise, powerful, taking the door off its hinges entirely. SEAL operators flood the room, spreading to corners, securing the space in seconds. Their weapons track Briggs but don't aim directly. He's not considered a lethal threat, just a criminal one. Commander Valor enters last, moving with the confidence of someone who's done this 1,000 times. His eyes scan the room, assess the situation, land on Astra. He takes in her injuries with a single look. His expression doesn't change, but something hardens in his gaze when he turns to Briggs. Step away from her, Lieutenant. Hands where I can see them. Briggs raises his hands. I'm an officer. You can't just... Stand down. The command is not a request. It's absolute authority delivered in 2 words. Briggs's mouth opens, closes. His hands stay raised. Valor moves to Astra, positions himself between her and Briggs. You injured, Petty Officer? Nothing serious, Commander. Astra wipes blood from her face with the back of her hand. Some bruising. Bleeding's already slowing. Medic will check you on the bird. Valor turns back to Briggs, and his voice drops to something colder. Do you know what you just did, Lieutenant? Briggs doesn't answer, can't answer. His voice has abandoned him. You assaulted the only surviving Navy SEAL from Raven Pit. Valor takes a step closer. A hero who was declared killed in action. A warrior who spent 6 months in enemy territory before extraction. Someone who earned a Silver Star and a Purple Heart for actions I'm not authorized to discuss. Each revelation lands like a physical blow. Briggs' knees actually weaken. He looks at Astra, small, quiet Astra who he called Barbie, and sees someone completely different. Someone dangerous. Someone he never should have touched. And you called her Barbie? Valor's contempt is palpable. You humiliated her, beat her, tried to kill her, all because she was doing her job, exposing your corruption. I didn't know, Briggs starts. That's the point. You didn't know. You made assumptions based on size and gender and appearance. You saw weakness where there was strength. You saw prey where there was a predator. Valor signals to his team. 2 operators move forward, pulling zip tie restraints from their gear. That ignorance doesn't excuse what you did. It makes it worse. The restraints go on. Tight. Professional. Briggs is positioned against the wall, secured, no longer a threat. Outside, more personnel arrive. NCIS agents, base security, military police, all converging on the lab building, drawn by the spectacle of a SEAL extraction on domestic soil. Davis pushes through the crowd, his face pale. He sees Astra, sees her injuries, and his jaw clenches. I knew something was wrong. I tried to get here sooner, but they wouldn't let me through. You did enough, Chief. Astra's voice is tired now, the adrenaline fading, leaving behind the pain. Your report helped trigger the final phase. Thank you. Davis nods. Then he notices her uniform, the way the operators treat her with deference, the way Valor calls her petty officer instead of nurse. Understanding dawns slowly. You're not medical staff. I am, Astra corrects, but not the kind you thought. One of the SEAL operators returns from the helicopter carrying something wrapped in plastic. He hands it to Valor, who unwraps it carefully. It's a uniform, dress blues, but not standard issue. This uniform has insignia most naval personnel never see: special warfare pins, combat action ribbons, unit citations for classified operations. Valor holds it up so everyone present can see. This is Petty Officer First Class Astra Valen's official uniform, issued to living operators only, returned to active service only for personnel who survive and return from classified deployments. The fabric catches the harsh lights from outside. Every medal, every ribbon, every pin tells a story that 99% of the base will never hear in full, but they understand enough. This isn't some clerk or nurse playing dress-up. This is the real thing. Briggs stares at the uniform. His face has gone beyond pale into a sickly gray. She was sent here. You sent her here to trap me. She volunteered, Valor corrects. When JSOC suspected opioid trafficking through this facility, we needed someone who could infiltrate without raising suspicion, someone with medical credentials, someone who could survive if compromised, someone who understood operational security. He turns to address the growing crowd of base personnel gathered outside the building. His voice carries, ensuring everyone hears. Petty Officer Valen spent 8 weeks embedded in this station. She documented systematic theft of controlled substances. She identified Lieutenant Briggs' accomplice in the supply chain, a civilian contractor named Morrison who's being arrested as we speak. She traced the distribution network. She gathered evidence that will result in federal charges against multiple personnel. Base Commander Reynolds, a silver-haired captain in his 50s, steps forward. He looks shaken. Commander, I had no idea. When Briggs filed complaints about her performance, You didn't investigate, Valor states flatly. You took the word of a superior officer over concerns about abuse. You ignored warning signs. You failed to create an environment where personnel felt safe reporting misconduct. Reynolds' face flushes. Sir, You'll have time to explain yourself to NCIS. Right now, I need access to the medical supply logs, all of them, physical and digital copies. 30-minute window before Briggs' lawyer arrives and everything gets locked down in legal proceedings. If this story gave you chills, smash that share button and stick around for the ending. You won't believe how this closes. Reynolds hesitates only a moment, then nods. Chief Davis, escort the commander to the administrative office. Provide whatever he needs. Davis salutes. Aye, sir. The next 30 minutes become organized chaos. SEAL operators and NCIS agents swarm the medical station, boxing evidence, imaging hard drives, photographing supply rooms. Davis leads them through the facility, pointing out discrepancies he noticed but couldn't prove. Places where logs didn't match reality. Times when supplies went missing after Briggs conducted inventory. Through it all, Astra sits in the helicopter, wrapped in a thermal blanket despite the warm evening, while a combat medic treats her injuries. The damage is mostly superficial, bruising, lacerations, nothing broken. She'll heal quickly, she always does. Valor returns from the evidence collection, sliding into the seat beside her. Morrison's in custody, singing like a canary. Gave up 3 more personnel involved in distribution. This is bigger than we thought. Usually is, Astra says quietly. You did good work here. Clean, professional, everything documented properly. Thank you, sir. Valor studies her for a moment. That said, I need to know, when Briggs had that chair raised, if we hadn't arrived when we did, what was your plan? Astra is silent for several seconds. Then, "I would have survived, Commander, one way or another. That's what worries me." But Valor's tone holds respect, not concern. "You've been cleared for active duty. Medical review came back clean. Psych eval passed. If you want back in the rotation, the unit's reforming. Nightward 2.0. We need someone with your experience." "I'll think about it, sir." "Don't think too long. We deploy in 6 weeks." He leaves her alone then. Outside, the base continues its strange mix of normal operations and federal investigation. Personnel whisper and speculate. Phones record video that will be confiscated later. The story spreads like wildfire. The quiet nurse who was actually a SEAL. The bully who picked the wrong victim. Justice delivered by helicopter in the dead of night. Davis approaches the aircraft, stopping at the edge of the rotor's wash. Valor gives him permission to board with a nod. The old corpsman climbs up, moves to where Astra sits. "I saw the insignia," he says without preamble, "when your sleeve tore earlier, during that last confrontation. I recognized it. Nightward Medical Corps. I did a rotation with them in 03, before they went dark." Astra meets his eyes. "You never said anything." "Wasn't my place. You had your reasons for staying quiet." He pauses. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't push harder. Sorry I didn't do more to stop what was happening. You did enough, Chief. Your concerns, your reports, they helped build the case. Sometimes the best thing you can do is be a witness. Someone who sees and remembers." Davis nods slowly. "Will I see you again?" "Probably not. But if you ever need anything, there are channels. Ways to reach people like me. Valor can set it up." They shake hands. Davis climbs back down, watches as the helicopter prepares for departure. The rotors spin faster, building toward liftoff. Around the base, personnel stop to watch. Even those who don't fully understand what's happening recognize the significance. Something important just occurred. Something that will change how things work here. Briggs is loaded into a military police vehicle, hands still secured. His head hangs low, broken. Through the window, he catches one last glimpse of Astra sitting in the helicopter, a thermal blanket around her shoulders, blood still visible on her face. She's not looking at him. She's looking ahead, toward whatever comes next. The helicopter lifts off, smooth, powerful, rising above the base that served as Astra's prison and proving ground for 2 months. The lights shrink below. The ocean appears to the west, moonlight catching on waves. Inside the aircraft, Valor opens a secure case and withdraws a small velvet box. He sits beside Astra again, opens it. Inside is a gold seal trident, the Budweiser, as it's known. The pin every SEAL earns and every SEAL wears with pride. "They took this from you when you were declared KIA, Valor says. Standard procedure, returned to family, usually. But your family refused it, said you weren't dead." They were right. He pins it to her uniform, the civilian scrubs she's still wearing, stained now with her own blood. The gold catches the cabin lights gleaming against the fabric. Wrong uniform, wrong context, but the meaning remains. She earned this. She bled for it. Nothing that happened tonight changes that. "Welcome home, Valen." Astra touches the pin carefully. "Thank you, sir." The helicopter banks west, leaving the base behind. Below, the consequences of the night's events are just beginning. NCIS will conduct a full investigation. Briggs will face court-martial on multiple charges: assault on classified personnel, theft of government property, drug trafficking, obstruction of justice, abuse of personnel under his command. Morrison and his accomplices will face similar charges. But the impact goes beyond individual prosecutions. Base Commander Reynolds will be relieved of duty, his failure to investigate abuse cited in official reports. New protocols will be implemented: anonymous reporting systems for misconduct, stricter custody requirements for controlled substances, mandatory training on recognizing and reporting abuse of power. The medical supply chain across all East Coast naval facilities will undergo comprehensive audit. 3 other officers at different bases will be flagged for suspicious activity patterns. 2 will be cleared, 1 will not. Within 6 months, a new reporting system will be launched fleet-wide. Within a year, prosecution rates for military misconduct will increase by 18%. Within 2 years, Astra's case will be taught at Naval Justice School as an example of proper undercover investigation procedure. The legacy extends far beyond one corrupt officer. It becomes a precedent, a reminder that justice doesn't require noise. It requires patience, documentation, and people willing to endure short-term pain for long-term accountability. But Astra doesn't think about legacy right now. She thinks about the next mission, the encrypted tablet Valor handed her before takeoff, the file labeled Tower 7, Phase 2. She hasn't opened it yet. We'll wait until they're fully secure, away from any possibility of interception. The tablet screen shows a map coordinate and a single word, Raven Pit 2, unfinished business. There always is. "Commander," Astra says over the headset, "the mission briefing. How long do I have to review?" 48 hours, then we're wheels up. This one's different, Valen, more complex. We're going back to where it started, where Nightward fell. To finish it? To close the loop. There are people still operating in that region, people who betrayed the unit. We know who, we know where. Now we're taking them down. Astra nods, closes her eyes. The injuries throb in time with the helicopter's vibration. She'll need medical treatment, proper rest, time to process what happened at the base. But there won't be much time. There never is. The California coast passes beneath them. Lights from cities and towns create constellations against the dark. Somewhere down there, people are living normal lives, watching television, eating dinner, putting children to bed, completely unaware that people like Astra exist, that operations like Nightward happen in shadows and silence. That's how it should be. The whole point of special operations is that civilians never have to know the cost of their safety, never have to understand what's done in their name. They get to stay innocent, protected. Astra has never been innocent, hasn't been for years. Raven Pit took that from her, took everything, really. Her teammates, her sense of safety, her ability to trust easily. What remained was forged in fire, harder, sharper, unbreakable in ways that concerned even her superiors, but that hardness serves a purpose. Lets her endure assignments like the medical station, lets her take the abuse, the mockery, the physical violence, and not break. Not compromise the mission, not reveal herself until the perfect moment when revelation does the most damage to the enemy. The helicopter crosses into restricted airspace. The base ahead houses Naval Special Warfare Group 3. Home. Or as close to home as people like Astra have. A place where everyone understands, where silence is respected, where you don't have to explain the scars or the nightmares or the way you position furniture to maintain sightlines to exits. As they descend toward the landing pad, Astra sees other operators waiting. Colleagues from previous missions, people who know exactly what it costs to do this work. They've gathered to welcome her back, a small crowd of warriors who understand without words what she just endured. The helicopter touches down. Rotors begin their deceleration. Valor stands, offers Astra his hand. She takes it, lets him help her stand. Her ribs protest. Her face throbs. Her body reminds her that she's not invulnerable, despite what she sometimes needs to project. They disembark together. The waiting operators snap to attention as Astra steps onto the tarmac. Not because she's high-ranking, she's not, but because she's earned their respect. Because she went into hell voluntarily, stayed longer than necessary, and came back with mission complete. One of them, a lieutenant commander named Sarah Chen from SEAL Team 7, steps forward. "Heard you had an interesting couple months, Valen." "Routine investigation, ma'am." "Routine," Chen smiles. "That's what we're calling getting beaten by a corrupt officer and extracted by helicopter now? Standards are slipping." Light laughter from the assembled operators. Dark humor, the kind that keeps people sane when sanity is a luxury. Valor addresses the group. "Petty Officer Valen will be joining Nightward 2. Op brief is classified, but suffice to say we're going back to settle accounts. Those interested in supporting roles, see me tomorrow at 0700 hours. Several operators nod. This is how it works. Volunteers only. No pressure, no judgment for those who pass, but plenty of hands usually rise. Revenge missions have their appeal, especially when seeking justice for fallen teammates. As the crowd disperses, Valor pulls Astra aside. "Medical first, then debrief, then 48 hours leave before we start mission prep. I'm ordering you to take that time. Rest, process, whatever you need." "Yes, sir." "And Valen?" He meets her eyes. "What you did at that base. Going in quiet. Enduring abuse. Building the case piece by piece. That took a different kind of courage than firefights. Don't diminish it." "I won't, sir." He leaves her then, moving toward the administrative building. Astra stands alone on the tarmac, wrapped in the thermal blanket, SEAL trident still pinned to her bloody scrubs. The night air is cool, clean, tastes like freedom. She thinks about Briggs, about the moment he realized who she really was, the look on his face when the SEAL team arrived, the way everything he thought he knew collapsed in minutes. There's no satisfaction in it, no triumph, just the quiet certainty that one more corrupt officer has been stopped, one more supply chain secured, one more mission complete. Tomorrow brings the next one. Tower 7, Raven Pit 2. Return to the place where Nightward fell and finish what they started. It will be dangerous, possibly fatal. But that's the job. That's what she signed up for when she volunteered for special operations. People ask her sometimes, not often because most know better, why she does this, why she volunteers for missions that break people, why she endures abuse and violence and trauma when she could transfer to safer assignments, when she's earned the right to step back. The answer is simple, though she rarely shares it, because someone has to. Because corruption festers when no one challenges it. Because bullies thrive when victims stay silent. Because warriors die when supply chains fail. Because evil wins when good people decide the cost of fighting is too high. She won't let that happen. Not on her watch. Not while she still has strength to stand and fight and bleed for something bigger than herself. Astra walks toward medical. Each step hurts. Each breath reminds her that she's human, breakable, mortal. But she walks anyway, because that's what warriors do. They get up, they keep moving, they finish the mission. Behind her, the helicopter's rotors finally stop. The base quiets. The night continues its ancient rhythm, indifferent to the small dramas of human justice and revenge and survival. But somewhere out there, in a federal holding cell, Lieutenant Carter Briggs sits alone with his choices. The walls close in. The future narrows to courtrooms and prison cells and a dishonorable discharge that will follow him forever. He thinks about the quiet nurse, the woman he called Barbie, the person he underestimated so completely that it cost him everything. And he understands, far too late, that strength doesn't announce itself with volume or violence. It waits, it endures, it documents, and when the moment is right, it strikes with precision that leaves no room for escape. They mocked the quiet nurse. They didn't know she'd walked through hell and came back to clean house. Justice isn't loud, it's patient, and it always eventually finds its target.
Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.